Hello and welcome to Two Girls in a Pod. I'm Sharon.
I'm Christy.
Hope all of you are doing well as always. Today we're going to kind of have just a shorter podcast. We are saddened to we had talked about letting go. We had talked about hospice care and things like that. Well, on January 27th, Christy lost her mom. So
Yeah, it's been kind of a rough week, and to say the least. But yeah, she passed on Saturday, and I guess there's a lot to be grateful for. I know that she's not going through everything she was dealing with, so I am definitely grateful for that.
It's been our time of reflection as well, and I think that does happen. And even though it's been a sad time for us, we've also been able to laugh at a few things.
A lot of good memories with her.
And, I think for everybody, grief and loss process is such a personal thing.
Yes, for sure.
I know everybody says, Kubler-Ross says we have the 5 stages of grief and loss and stuff like that. But, I tell everybody, it's your journey. You do it the way you do it in the way in which you do it. And everybody's the end of somebody's life always impacts people on such a different level, whatever that relationship was, positive, negative, this, that, or the other. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
So and sometimes the most important thing we do is just kind of hold space and help people, just let people know you're there. And we've been very fortunate.
Yes, I have to say that I am truly grateful because I have had so many people reach out to me, and I have just felt surrounded by love, and concern and care. And I appreciate that. I am so grateful for the people in our life.
And, one of the things that's interesting about, your dad and your mom, one of the things that they did that I thought was just really amazing. And I thought, how cool for them to think of this and to do this.
They decided to donate their body to science. Which, I don't even know how many people know that that's even an option to do. And I know there's a lot of mixed feelings around it. A lot of people have certain ideas about what needs to be done when someone passes. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I am so grateful that both of my parents decided that that's what they wanted to do.
And I think what's really cool about your dad is because your dad died from pancreatic cancer, and there's so much more research that needs to be done with pancreatic cancer because it is such a deadly, deadly, deadly cancer. It has like the lowest, survival rate.
Mm-hmm.
Ovarian cancer is the other one, but just so what a blessing if his death brings us closer to understanding how to treat pancreatic cancer. You know what I mean? I think that's just an amazing thing.
Yeah. And I had shared with a friend that that's what my parents had decided to do. And she was talking to me about it, and she was like, you got me thinking. And I really appreciate that anybody would consider something like that, because I really do feel like there's so many advantages to it. And I have to say that as a family member dealing with things that you have to deal with, when someone passes, it has been just such a smooth process for both of them. It's been there are many programs out there that you can use. My mom's was Anatomy Gift Registry. There are different
and they're different ones because they do different things.
Yeah, and there are certain ones that will do full body donation, and there are some that will just do tissue donation, things like that. So I know Ohio State has a program. There's another company called Science Care Body Donation. There are many out there, and I feel like it's really, when they call it a gift, I really do feel like that's what it is.
And one of the things is there's nothing you do. We were just, all we had to do was call them and talk with them and get everything set up. And
yeah.
And then what was really great is hospice took care of it on that end. They're the ones who called him, got everything kind of in order for that to take place, the transportation and all of that. So it was amazing. Hospice too did amazing things.
Yes, they've been calling to check on me, and I truly appreciate what they do. And I
Yes.
know that is a difficult job. It's something I just don't even know how they do it. But I'm really grateful for that program that, and it helps so many people. They were there even with my dad.
Yes.
And
They were there with my mom,
Yeah.
And just a shout out to hospice, the people who do that care. The end of life stuff is such an amazing thing. I had a client who actually became a hospice nurse, and just how fulfilling that was even for her. I don't think there's such a relationship that's developed in that time when you have a longer period of time. Your mom was like 7 weeks or something like that. I think mom was like 6.
Yeah,
So
like 7 weeks in hospice.
like I said, there's so many working parts to these things, and to have gratitude for each and every one of them. The staff where your mom were amazing with her at the end. They were, so that was pretty cool, playing music for her, things like that,
And being with her, yes.
your mom's love of music, definitely.
Yes. She would
You come by it honestly, both your mom and dad. Oh my goodness.
she would put on a concert for him sometimes at the nursing home because
And yodel for 'em.
Yeah. She would start yodeling.
But it's one of those things, like I said, if you didn't know about these things, us kind of talking about it and just how grateful we've been for that whole process, and how wonderfully easy, not that anything is easy when somebody dies, but I think that it just takes some of that pressure off of you.
The process piece of it, everything that has to be done, they take care of everything.
They do. And
many of them, it's no cost to do it,
Yeah.
So it's definitely worth looking into if it's something that, that the person wants to give back in that way. And, that becomes an option for you. It is, like I said, so much, it's such an easy process.
Do you know why your dad made that decision?
I don't.
Because it kind of is interesting. And I don't know if he made it after he got his diagnosis. I imagine he did make it at that point after the diagnosis of the pancreatic cancer, and maybe just the fact that, there's so little research on it and stuff like that. And I know your mom did it because she really liked that idea after your dad did it.
I don't know if that made her feel closer somehow or something, that, to do the same thing that he did. I don't know. She just felt more united in doing it that way. I'm not sure.
And I think the really cool thing is even in doing that, people, one of the things is, well, if their body's gone and all that, one of the things is we will have a celebration of life for her. And that was her wish. And, I think that we don't need to have the body. Well, people are cremated, or sometimes you don't find the body, there's all sorts of reasons these things happen,
Yeah.
But I think it really is still that ability to do the celebration of life for her, and to bring those people together, and to be able to do that kind of process of closure, if that's, how you do that closure piece of it, so I think overall it's just an amazing thing that we get to participate in, and I am grateful that we learn a little bit more about it. And I think it opens up that door to other possibilities for end of life. If I can't handle this on my own, hospice is an option. You can have in-home hospice anywhere, so there's all sorts of avenues for that as well.
Yeah, I was grateful, like with my dad, they were able to go into the home, and he passed at home. So.
Yeah. And so I think that people have this awareness, or, that we can kind of open the door to other people. And once again, didn't really ever think of a registry or anything like that until your dad did that. And then to see how that whole process played out.
Exactly.
Was just kind of a really cool thing. And then for your mom to do the same thing.
Yeah. And it's like I said, they've been great to work with, and you just call up and ask questions. There are certain criteria and stuff for the different programs, but just because one won't accept, another one may.
And
They
you-
just have different stipulations.
Yeah, and you found that out because it might be, well, we only want tissue samples of this, or we only want to study this. It could be any of those things. So I agree. If you're going to do, if this is something that you now say, oh my goodness, I didn't know this existed. This is kind of cool. You can just keep looking, and you can do it if you know there's end of life, or you have to be at that stage. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe that's something that
That you
think-
just sit there and say, this is now what I want to do. I feel like this is a contribution, and
yeah,
I know it's kind of something to think about,
definitely.
Yeah.
Because I mean, even for myself, I think I'm undecided at this point, but
And I
I
told
think-
Christy this morning, I don't know, what are they going to do with my 120-year-old dead body?
yeah.
I'll be,
Well, I already
I'll be
told
none
you.
of más puros huesos,
Yes,
which means only bones.
I already told you what they were gonna do.
What are they going to do?
Turn you into a diamond.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember that now. She said that the only way she'd have my ashes is if I was turned into a diamond.
See,
Wow.
wearable.
So I know I'll have great value when I'm dead.
You want it to be with me.
Oh, isn't that amazing? Yeah, I just think about that. It's so amazing what they're doing now, and even like, now people, when they die and stuff and they get cremated, instead of just putting them in an urn, on your mantle, they're planting them with trees.
That's always something Mom said. I don't want to be on somebody's mantle.
So I said promptly, well, we go put her on the mantle.
Oh,
No, and I get that. And I think for everybody, it's such a different process,
yeah.
but I do think there's something to, being put in a tree, and
Yeah, and I think that's kind of a neat option. I mean, that's something that I feel like I would consider wanting to do, would be to be planted.
and then there are those that want to be frozen.
Yeah,
No,
no,
I don't know about that either. And y'all think, listening, thinking, who knew there were so many options? No, it always reminds me of the Golden Girl episode.
where they get their heads frozen.
Yeah, just their heads, because then you have to get the body.
When the body's ready, you can get a body.
So yeah, I always thought that was such a funny thing, because then walks Sophia with this young body and an old head. But I think that's something that has been around for such a long period of time, of what do we do? What is the best thing? And I always tell people the best thing is whatever you decide.
Yeah.
It's such an individual thing, it can be based on your belief system, anything like that. And none of them are right or wrong. You know what I mean? And it's just doing what you feel, what resonates with you, and have those conversations with the people that are going to be the ones to carry this stuff out. I'm very grateful that we got to have those conversations with your mom.
Yes.
We got to plan what she wanted, because this is about her. It's definitely not about us in that aspect. How does she want to be remembered or stuff like that? And, at the celebration of life, we can talk about that with them. This was her gift,
Yes.
so
And it is
provides
this-
life for somebody else, maybe.
Yeah, it's such a unique and personal decision. And I am grateful that we got to have those discussions.
I am too. And I think that sometimes people kind of shy away from those discussions because people don't like to talk about death. It's one of those things that just kind of bothers people,
It
makes them
happens.
uncomfortable.
It happens, and then you have to deal with it.
Well, I don't know. I wonder if people sit there and say, I don't want to talk about it, because if I talk about it, then that means that I'm thinking about that it's going to come. And I don't think that's what it is. I think that it really is that thing of having those conversations. What is it you want done? I now know that Christy wants me to be a diamond.
And I want to be a tree.
Oh, yeah, that's easy enough. I tell you. But once again, I think that that's what we do, is we just kind of have those conversations and realize that death is a hard thing. And we've definitely had our moments. And I know you've had some rough moments, and
Mhm.
And even when we talked about doing the podcast, I was like, you sure you want to do one this week? And we didn't know what to do it on. And then I said, well, what about if we do it on this kind of thing to honor that your mom did this great thing, which we think is a great thing. Maybe not everybody will, and that's okay.
Right. And we understand I mean, there are many even religious reasons or that people do the things that they do. And that's understandable. But I really think that it's important to be informed of all the options that there are. And especially, like I said, for something like this that can be such a gift to others.
You would think that in order to, those people that don't have anybody, you would think that maybe that would be the thing, to give to science. Because then I always wonder what happened to that. What happens to them? Do they just throw them in a box? And I don't understand. I don't know all this stuff.
I don't know.
But it's like I said, it was one of those things we talked about, did we really want to do a podcast this week? But, we had talked about the journey your mom was on, that her journey was coming this journey was coming to its end. And, I felt it was appropriate to let the listeners know that had happened. But I think even more so, what were those end of life decisions? And, if you don't feel comfortable talking about it, maybe this will help you to feel comfortable talking about it, because you also, I think you learn that there's different ideas and alternatives and things like that. And, it was such a personal day. It's not like your mom or dad didn't go ask permission from anybody, which I think sometimes people get, are people going to be okay with this? Or they get too heady, and start thinking about all these other things. And I think that this was one of those cases where I don't think your mom really, it was what she wanted. I think she really appreciated how that transition with your dad was. And it was a no-brainer for her.
Mm-hmm. Just how they handled everything. I think that it made it so much easier for her. And I appreciate that.
And, it's really interesting because with this, people might say, oh my God, donate the body. Then what? You actually have the option, because they do a cremation
At the
end, and then you can get those ashes.
Mm-hmm.
And so, which I thought was interesting. And why did we decide to get your mom's ashes?
Well, they said that was something that they did. I mean, and it's not written in stone that we would. If we want to do that, we can.
But I think it's interesting because remember when you asked your mom that about your dad's ashes, what did she say?
I don't remember. Probably that she didn't want him on the mantle. I'm not sure.
No, she says, well, why do I need his ashes?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because that wasn't her belief. Her belief is that, she's very strong in her faith that, your soul's gone and you ascend to heaven, and there was no need for that. So her thing was, no.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So what made you, because you said.
I hadn't decided that. I just had asked them because
okay.
I didn't know if that was something they contact you and let you know about, or if you had to contact them if you wanted to do it, But apparently when they finish, they send a letter and tell you that the ashes are available if you would want to do that.
So I think that, but my point was, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought here. So bear with me, people. That's kind of a cool thing, because with it, you have that option.
Yes.
So if you really wanted those remains, that's still something that can happen. So
yes.
I thought that was really cool too.
And I don't know if every program is that way. That's something that you would definitely want to ask them. And if, like I said, with the anatomy gift registry, I know that they do that. So, I mean, if that's something that is important to you, maybe that person would be willing to do a full body donation, but with knowing that they would have that as an option for if someone wants you to spread their ashes somewhere or something like that, that can still be done.
Yeah. So I thought it was really cool. And like I said, we just wanted to share with you guys, of course, the passing of your mom, but also that there's this option of doing the registries and stuff like that. And if you hadn't thought about it or didn't know about it, now you guys do. So, maybe it's another option. And like I said, who likes to sit around and talk about death? Most people do not. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
But it's those conversations that people should be having, and whatever somebody's wishes are, to be able to honor them and stuff like that is important.
Yeah, like I said, in Tough Decisions, that episode that we did, I mean, it's interesting and it's a struggle when you're the one that's trying to carry out what someone else wants. So if you can have those conversations and figure that out, it sure helps you when they've passed. You feel confident about fulfilling what it is that they wanted.
And I think what an honor it is when somebody has that trust in you too. There has to be a trust thing. And I really do feel like your mom felt like not only you, but I would help in that, in her wishes being fulfilled the way she wanted them. And that's an honor to have somebody trust you with their end of life wishes. And so if somebody asks you that, and if you can do that, that's a great honor as well.
Mm-hmm.
As we said, this is going to be a very short podcast because, we are still in a grief and loss process. But we're grateful for everybody who listens, and thank you so much for that.
Definitely still, going through a healing process, and we do appreciate everybody listening in. And yes, this is a shorter episode, but I feel like it's an important information to share.
But I also feel like it's part of our healing process as well.
I think so.
So thank you for letting us share with you today. As always, you can find us on.
We have the website, twogirlsinapod.com. We are also on Facebook and Instagram, Two Girls in a Pod Life's Journey. And you can also follow us on YouTube, Adventures of Two Girls in a Pod Life's Journey.
Follow, subscribe, click like, communicate with us. There's a place for comments. If you have comments and stuff, we'd really appreciate hearing from you.
If this is the first episode that you are listening to, please go take a listen to some others. We're not always on the
Debbie Downer side.
Yeah.
We can be fun too. So we'd really appreciate, and like I said, we so appreciate everybody who listens. And if you do listen, let your friends know, let your family know, spread the word, get them listening to us, and hopefully something we say will resonate with somebody.
Yes, hoping to build a mentally strong platform that people can get something from and hopefully take away something positive.
And hopefully it helps on everybody's journey, because, this really is about journeys and stuff. And this is where our journey is right now in this process of healing through the loss of your mom and stuff. So, it's a journey.
Life's journey continues.
Yes, it does. And thank you so much for continuing with us. We so appreciate it. And we will be back next week. And we're not going to be Debbie Downers next week, I don't think. Maybe. We don't know. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for joining us. And we look forward to coming back next week. Thank you.